Crush your opponent with a smile. It's Fantasy Sports Island.
Reaper, first of all, can you tell us why you do this?
I do it for the kids, Johnny. For the kids.
Podcast that you named, John, Ballgame The Reaper. Tell them why.
Because I wanted my name first.
Oh my God! Look who's here!
Are you kidding me? Are we back?
We are back. We are back. Just like Eminem said, we are back.
We are back.
It's been a minute.
He dropped a new song.
He did. He did drop a new song, and we're about to drop a new show called Ballgame and the Reaper.
Ballgame and the Reaper. A little bit of a rebrand coming at you.
It is a rebrand. We've rebranded the whole network. It's not the Guy Talk Network anymore. It's Fantasy Sports Island. All sports, all the time. And we're starting it off with a new podcast that you named, John, Ballgame and the Reaper. Tell them why.
Because I wanted my name first. Pretty much, I'm Johnny Ballgame. And I don't know. Ballgame and Reaper just sounded better than Reaper and Ballgame, although now I say that, and that actually sounds pretty cool. But too late, because you've already made the credits and stuff. So, it's Chuck and I are going to be the primary ones on it. Our very good friends, Sir Poops a Lot, Tony, and the Fantasy Rolls Royce. They're going to make appearances still and come in and join us every now and then, but just some obligations that allow them to be on every week. So we thought we'd go with this. We're the ones who typically just do this every week because we like talking about fantasy football.
And we missed you folks. We missed fantasy football.
Oh, man. Yeah.
We've been talking about this for a long time. I got to reboot this thing and get it going. And here we are today. And what we're going to do today, John, is we're going to focus just solely on all the moves that were made in the draft and in free agency and trades. And we're going to talk about the fantasy impact and fallout from all those moves. And we're going to spend the whole show just talking about that and how it affects your fantasy team. So what do you think about that?
I love it. As you guys know, anybody who used to watch our old podcast know, all three of you, if you're watching again, you'll know we're super, it was more than three, but still, we're super opinionated. So you're going to get a lot of back and forth, a lot of talk. I mean, Chuck and I have been doing this for a really, really long time. In fact, Chuck, tell them what we're pretty much most famous for.
We invented PPR, John Ballgame.
We invented it. Nobody was doing that.
And nobody believes me when I tell them this, John, but I am not joking. This was 20 some odd years ago. Nobody was doing it. Everyone was only scoring touchdowns and getting yards. And then we decided we need to get points for people that make catches. We need to get points for, bonuses for 100 yards and get just more points. Damn it. We need more points.
And this was back when we were looking in the newspaper box scores. These were crazy paper pen days. For you kids out there, a newspaper is a physical thing that you read, sort of like Google, only it's an actual printed item.
This is true, and there was no internet when we started this.
Oh, God, does that make us... Which is weird, because I'm only 30. So, clearly...
I mean, he dyes his hair silver.
Yeah, I just want the old look.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to look young. Who wants to look young?
I mean, nobody, right? Nobody wants to look young.
No.
Not at all. All right. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chuck Bishop. You can at me at the Fantasy Reaper. Come on, bring it. That is John Isbell. We call him Johnny Ballgame. You can at him. And what is it, John? John Isbell 85?
Johnny Ballgame 85.
Okay, there you go. Adam.
At me.
Do us a favor.
X.
At the X, yeah. Yeah, we're calling it X now, whatever. But do us a favor. If you like the content today, just hit the like button. Maybe you want to subscribe because we're going to do this every week from now on. And if you like fantasy football and you like fantasy points, we're here to help you. Hit the like button, folks. It helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. And maybe this time we can get more than 3 viewers for our videos, John.
I think so. I think that would be rather
Let's
nice
go for
because the
4.
three that watched it thought we were pretty above average. You know what I mean? They really,
We
really
were
seem to
pretty
sometimes think
A-okay,
that
John.
you guys are half thumbs up.
Half a thumbs up. If there was a button for half a thumbs up, I'd ask you to
Yeah,
hit
it'd be
that.
like that. It'd be like half thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Fantasy football time, John. Let's talk
Boom.
about the draft right off the bat here, the NFL draft, our thoughts on some of these guys. And we got to start off. Go.
I feel like I should talk about the first pick in the draft.
Yeah, you do that.
For those of you who don't know, and there's probably a lot of you because you probably not watched the show because you weren't one of the three. I'm a huge Chicago Bears fan, have been my whole life. I didn't grow up in Chicago. I now have an office in Chicago and work there quite frequently, but I never grew up there. I don't live there. I live in Tennessee. I grew up a Bengals fan too, but primarily I was a Bears fan, and mostly because of Walter Payton, to be honest. But then I just fell in love with the team. So I really have not enjoyed the long, illustrious history of quarterbacks that we've had. We've never had a 4,000-yard quarterback. I liked Fields because I'm an Ohio State fan, so I liked Fields, but he just couldn't quite get over the hump, didn't have a line for a myriad of reasons. He's just not the quarterback anymore. I don't know if I was super stoked at first about getting Caleb Williams because I'm not a Pac-10 guy. But the more film I watch, the more I do a deep dive into the background of him, the more I read things that people say about him. He's a little kooky with the painted fingernails and all that stuff. But I'll take kooky if he can get me over 4K. You know what I mean? Like give me a 5K year, and you can paint your tone. You can paint anything you want to. I don't care. Let's go out and win some. I think he's got weapons. I think he's the rookie quarterback that's got the most around him immediately. Like Chicago wasn't a number one in the draft team. They weren't that bad. They got it because they made some shrewd draft choices last year and trades, and that's why they got him this year. So it's already a pretty good team win total wise. Now you add that him with an arm. He's got a cannon. He can still move around. We'll see how his decision making is because that's my biggest worry about him. But I love the weapons he has around him, and the addition of DeAndre Swift. I love everything about this team, and I'm really stoked to be a Bears fan and a fantasy football player.
Yeah, it took me a minute to come around to Williams as well. I kind of compare him a little bit to Trevor Lawrence and the hype Trevor Lawrence got when he came out. And I said it back then. I said, hey, look, Trevor Lawrence is going to be a good quarterback, but I thought he's a little bit overrated. He was never going to be a star. And so far I've been right about that. And that's how I felt about Caleb
Above
Williams.
average.
Yeah. I feel the same about Caleb Williams at times. I feel like he's a little bit overrated, a little bit too much hype. But when you look at what they got around him, they add Keenan Allen. They go draft Odunze, who we'll talk about in a little bit. And they add Swift in the backfield. And you still have, God, we haven't even talked about DJ Moore. I mean, this guy's got weapons all around him and speed as well. And so you can't help but not like his situation. He is an accurate passer. He's got a cannon, like you said. So, yeah, it's going to work. It's going to work, John.
I know. I think so, too. And then you mentioned Rome Odunze. I mean, honestly, the Bears, if they would have just stopped in the first round, they had the greatest draft in a long time. So Rome Odunze, many argued he might have been the best receiver. I don't agree with that. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best receiver that came off the board. But Rome's a real good 1A. So I'll take that all day long. And like you said, now we pair him with veteran perennial 1,000-yard receiver Keenan Allen, who's never met a season with 1,000 yards he didn't like. DJ Moore, who was just unbelievable last year and showed you why. You know, I think Carolina was really stupid to give him up. And man, what a smart move the Bears look now. They got Caleb. If Caleb Williams pans out, they ended up getting DJ Moore, their number one receiver last year, in order to get this first draft pick this year of Caleb Williams, and then pair him with Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift. It's just an unbelievable team.
And I mean, they could have really, I personally thought if they would have kept Fields, who I think is decent, especially in if he had these sort of weapons, right? And his ability to run the football. I think it would have worked, and they could have gotten a haul with that number 1 overall pick this year. But they chose to go
I was
with
with you on that camp.
Yeah, they chose to go with Caleb. It is what it is. We'll see how it turns out, but I'm excited. I think he's going to do well. I don't know if he's going to get 4,000 yards this year. I'm not sure because he is a rookie.
I think it's real possible, man.
But it's possible.
I really do. I think it's real possible to get 4,000 this year.
It's totally possible. And if he doesn't do it this year, he's going to do it very soon because, like I said, I mean, it's just lots of weapons. Also, their defense.
Got Cole Kmet at tight end, and then they signed another tight end that I can't even remember now. I'm sure we'll get into that here in a little bit.
We will. And don't forget their defense is really coming on last year.
Great.
Top notch defense. So they're going to be good, man. I think they're going to win at least 8 games, maybe 9, 10 games. We'll see. I'm excited for you, John, because I know you've been waiting a long time for the Bears to be relevant.
Sure have.
All right, let's talk about
the 80s. The 80s have been a long time. You know what I mean? And then the one Super Bowl that we went to since then, we got killed by the Colts. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, the 2 of our 3 viewers probably weren't even born yet. So
no, exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Jaden Daniels at number 2 to the Redskins. What are your thoughts on Jaden and his, what's going to happen for him? Is he going to be successful right off the bat in Washington? What do you think?
Man, I love his talent, but man, I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't sold on him being the number 2 quarterback. I mean, again, you watch his film and it speaks for itself. He did some amazing things. But geez, he also had a ton of weapons down there, and I'm not sure he's got a similar group of weapons. I mean, he's got Terry McLaurin, who I like. Jahan Dotson hasn't shown anything yet. Like, I don't know that he's got the weapons that he had in LSU to make that impact the first year. So I don't feel like he's gonna go crazy.
Yeah, so if you're talking in a redraft, I'm not sure he's going to be relevant in fantasy football this year.
Yeah.
If you're talking dynasty, I like him later on in the draft, maybe late first, early second round in the rookie draft, because the potential is there. He's got the talent, but man, he reminds me a lot of Kyler Murray, John.
Me too. Me too. Well, and you know how I feel about him. So I'm not a giant fan. I think he's got a better arm than Kyler Murray. I do. He's skinny. There's a little bit of him that reminds me of Young. And Young didn't hold up real well and wasn't great this last year. So and I might have that bias, right? So I may feel like that's a little bit because of that, but I just don't think he's going to have the weapons around him. I think it's a rebuilding year there in Washington. I like that they got, new management, new coach and all that good stuff. It's going to be great. I think they're going to do well. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
Yeah, and I think they're going to try to lean on the run a little bit there and take the pressure off of Jaden. And that's if he even starts. Yeah, I mean, who knows? He may not even start the season. It might take 6 to 8 weeks or after the bye week to get him back, as the number 1 quarterback. We'll see if they slow play it or not, or if he's the starter right off the bat. All right, number 3 is Drake May, John, for New England. And I can't think of a worse situation for Drake May to go to right off the bat than New England.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yes and no. Like, he can't do worse than what they had last year, right? So, like, the bar is super low for him. Mm-hmm. But when you see the weapons that he has to play with, I don't know that there are any there. And I think Jacoby Brissett starts the season as the quarterback. He's a much better NFL-ready quarterback right now.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And I think he will start the season. And if they get off to a slow start, they'll bring the rookie in after the bye week. I can't see it going any other way. He's raw. He's a little bit raw. He's in a situation with no weaponry whatsoever. They're going to be a ground and pound team. Rely on defense, kind of like the Patriots have been the last few years. Try not to turn the ball over. It doesn't make sense to start him week 1 to me. Not at all.
No.
What do you think about
I
his
would be
long-term prospect,
shocked.
though? Like for Dynasty?
I think he's got all the tools. I think he's got an arm. He's got size. Decision making was a little bit off, but I don't think he had a lot of surrounding cast, unlike some of the other quarterbacks who were drafted. I think he did the best he could. If he'd have come out his junior year, everybody would have been like, this kid's going to be the next great quarterback, because he was fantastic his junior year. Senior year fell off a little bit when he didn't have the weapons. But, luckily he's going to New England, which is just flush with weapons. Kidding, obviously. So I think long term, I could see him doing pretty well. I just don't like his short term. What about you? What do you think about him?
I mean, with the right talent around him and some good quarterbacks coach, work on his fundamentals. Yeah, I think he could be good long term. He's a late round flyer.
He was risky at number 3.
I agree. Think that. I agree, but he does have some innate ability. He could throw the ball. He can throw the rock. So
launch the ball. Yeah,
he can launch it. All right. Let's talk about the guy we really want to talk about in this draft.
Yeah.
It's my favorite player in the draft. He should go number 1 overall in dynasty leagues all across the nation. That's Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm gonna let you speak to him because that's an Ohio State boy for you there.
I'll tell you what, man. First of all, the pedigree, right? He's his dad's son, and he's got the smooth running route of his dad, only with size. And so you put that combination of speed, size, and ability to get open, and you watch film of him at Ohio State. And again, I watched Ohio State. This is playing against Big Ten teams. This is not playing against, the MAC or something like that. His separation he was never covered. It was like he was constantly open. Now, part of that was scheming him open and all that stuff, but just his innate ability to run a route, cut on a dime, start and stop fast. His hands are giant and they catch everything. He's going to be one of the best receivers that's come out in a really, really long time, which is saying something, because there's been some amazing receivers that have come out over the last several years.
I totally agree. His footwork is amazing as well. He does just what his dad used to do near the sideline. He's able to like focus on the ball and reroute it into his hands, all the while getting his feet in bounds. He's got tremendous balance and strength in the hands as well. Like he's being hit while he catches it and he still holds on to the ball. I'm truly amazed by him. I think he's going to be even better than his dad. And I think he's going to be good like this year in fantasy football, like a top 12 wide receiver this year. He's a good 2nd to 3rd round pick in your redraft leagues, I think.
Yeah, my only drawback for him is he's got Kyler Murray throwing to him. So, but there's no one else on the team to throw to, so you might as well just throw to him, right? Everything.
I love his situation. Kyler Murray can throw some accurate passes, John, even though you don't like him. He's very accurate, and he can extend plays with his running ability, and that's only good for Marvin Harrison. He's going to get open, and he's going to catch 100 balls this year. So I'm excited. I want to see, and long term, I mean, my God, like this, we could be seeing one of the best receivers in history. We'll see. I mean, who knows?
That's saying something.
Yeah. Now, moving on to this next receiver, number 6 pick overall, Malik Neighbors, New York Giants. All the stuff I just said about Marvin Harrison, you could apply to Neighbors, except for the situation. The quarterback situation is so bad in New York. I just don't know if this guy's going to be able to produce, John.
I don't either. That's it seems like the team where wide receivers go to die. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just not a good situation. I mean, and if Jones can't start, it's rough. It's rough. They signed a free agent. They still got the Italian stallion back there, who lasted a game and a half. I just don't. Yeah, that poor kid. That's all I can say.
And I mean, even the one weapon they thought they had last year in Waller, he's gonna retire. I mean, you can't even get Waller on the field for him. Like, he has nobody to throw the ball to, right? At Daniel Jones. And then the one guy he's got is Malik Neighbors, and he's just going to get double teamed every time, right? Every time. So there's no one there on the other side to like open things up for the poor guy. I mean, he's going into a terrible situation.
Horrible situation.
It's a horrible situation. Yeah. And by the way, for you folks that just heard me tell you that Waller retired, I think you should know Waller retired in 2022, right, John?
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't really played in a couple of years.
He just didn't make it official until it's still not official,
but he's for sure retired last year. He wasn't that hurt, and he just went, yeah, I'm gonna. No, my back. Oh, it hurts.
Everything hurts. I'm retiring. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the surprise of the draft. And I'm going to have a different take on this than most people, but I'm going to let you go first. So obviously the Falcons, they go out and they get Kirk Cousins, right? And then shortly thereafter, they draft Michael Penix Jr., who wasn't projected to go there and also wasn't the next projected quarterback to go in the first round. They kind of leapfrogged and took Penix, surprised everyone because they didn't really need a quarterback. Give me your take.
All right, so let me talk about Penix first, just as a quarterback. I actually thought he was the most NFL-ready quarterback of the quarterbacks not named Caleb Williams. He's great size. He's a little bit older. He's played a ton of games. He's overcome a couple of injuries. He's played at different schools, so he's had some different, focuses on his game. Overall, he's a really good football player and a really good quarterback, and I thought he could have been impactful right away. So I don't hate the Falcons drafting that quarterback there. What I hate is that they spent $90 million or whatever it was on Kirk and then drafted that quarterback there. If they would have given Kirk Cousins like a normal contract, I love hiring his replacement because that guy's only got a couple of years left and I don't know how he's going to do. But to pay him that much and then draft a quarterback that can't help him immediately, that's, I think, where most people have an issue, and I have a little bit of an issue. I'm kind of middle of the road. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I just kind of
Man, that's a great take, John. I mean, I was thinking along the same lines as you. I love Michael Penix. I think he's underrated and probably top 3 of the quarterbacks drafted
totally
this year.
Agree. Yeah.
I mean, he's super accurate. He's NFL ready, like you said. I like it for the reason that Kirk Cousins, no one's talking about this either, it has the same injury as Aaron Rodgers had. He tore his Achilles. He's coming off a torn Achilles later, by the way, than Rodgers did. Now, I understand Rodgers is a couple years older, but it's very similar.
Much.
Right.
Not much.
Exactly. And so to be able to have Penix ready to go if in the case that he's not able to do what Kirk Cousins normally does, I love it. I just don't like that they paid so much money to Kirk and also drafted Penix, like you said. I mean, it's hard to sell to your fan base too. Like, wow. But
what I would have loved here is if they got him a receiver or something that he could. I actually don't even think they needed a receiver. I think they need another lineman. I think they're something that they desperately needed, and then traded back into the middle rounds, and then took Penix. I think that would have been awesome. That would have been an unbelievable move. It just didn't happen. So I just think 8 was high for him after having paid so much. But I think he's easily a number 8 pick on another team, if that makes any sense.
Makes perfect sense. And if they were patient and were able to get him later, like maybe trade up late first round or early second and took him, I think it would be a lot more palatable for everyone. But
everybody would be like, what a great move to get Kirk's backup quarterback in the second round of first round talent. It would have been amazing. But I don't think Penix would have lasted that long. I think the Raiders wanted him, and I think that's why they took him where they took him.
Yeah. I mean, if they wanted him, they had to probably move up and get him like they did. But okay. We touched on Rome Odunze. You can talk about him a little bit more. Do you think he's going to be a successful pro? And what do you think is going to happen first year with the Bears?
He's fast and huge, and he's going to be I mean, easily the number 3 receiver on that team. There's nobody really else from that standpoint, right? That'll hold him there. DeAndre Swift's going to get his catches. Cole Kmet's going to get catches. Keenan's got to get catches. So I don't know that his numbers from a fantasy standpoint are going to blow you away year one. I think Keenan Allen's going to retire after this year or start getting spot duty. And next year, so like in a dynasty league, I would draft Rome Odunze. I would get him on one of my teams if I'm playing the long game for the future, because I think he's going to be an unbelievable pro next year. I think he's going to be a really good third receiver this year. And, you know, if you need to go deep on receivers, I think he'll help you a little bit. He's going to have those games, right? He'll have a game where he gets 130 yards and 5 catches and a touchdown, and people are going to go grab him off the waiver wire if you haven't drafted him already. And then the next game, he's going to get you 2 catches for 15 yards. So I think that's kind of where I see him kind of landing.
Yeah, I agree. He's a best ball kind of player. You pick him in best ball and you get his scores when he scores big. But for the most part, what you need in a redraft for him to be any fantasy relevant is for an injury to occur to Keenan Allen or DJ Moore. Otherwise, he is the third guy. So, we'll see. But
I mean, have him on speed dial for waiver wire pickups. If one of those guys get hurt, you'll want to pick him up. But yeah, he reminds me a little bit of Mike Williams, only hopefully with doesn't get hurt that much, but he's got that size, body control, speed combination that most people just don't have. And my God, his arms are so long. Like I was watching catches of him just skyhawking over people, and just I'm really excited to have him on the Bears team. I think he's going to be great. He'll be a great addition. I just, from a fantasy standpoint, would not count on him this year.
Yeah, for dynasty long term, I like his prospects though, because like you said, Keenan Allen's getting
1,000,000%.
long in the tooth. So he is a lot like Mike Williams, by the way. That's a good comp. I just hope he doesn't fall on his ass and break his coccyx as much as Mike Williams does.
Yeah, me too. All
right, let's talk about JJ.
Call him name.
JJ McCarthy in Minnesota. He takes over for Kirk Cousins, obviously. But you like the weapons around him. You still got Justin Jefferson, who just got paid. You took the first round wide receiver last year. They still have a Hawkinson at tight end who is coming off an injury, but still, I mean, like, he's got kind of weaponry around him.
Great setup. I don't think he's going to start.
Okay. You don't think he's going to start the season?
No, I think Sam Darnold wins that job out of camp. I think McCarthy's a bit of a project, right? I mean, he's a winner. He won at Michigan, and as an Ohio State fan, that I want to gag a little bit when I say it, but he was a really good quarterback there. But he wasn't asked to do a whole lot. So there's still a lot of unknown about JJ McCarthy. As a winner, he's got the intangibles. He's going to fit Kevin O'Connell's system. I just think Sam Darnold is going to prove a lot of people wrong who doubted him. I think he showed a little bit of something last year in San Francisco, and I think he's going to win the starting quarterback job. So I don't think JJ McCarthy will be relevant this year.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you there. I actually think McCarthy is going to start the season. I think they went up and got him because they love him. They want him to be the starter. And Sam Darnold, I can't think of any other way to say it. Sam Darnold sees ghosts, John, when he's back there at quarterback. He throws a lot of picks. He gets nervous. I think he's a backup. He's a backup.
I agree with you, but this feels like one of those situations where they're going to give Darnold every chance while they groom the young quarterback. And then the last game of the season, he's going to Pat Mahomes everybody, come in, and then he'll come in next year as the starter. That's just how I feel about it. Because Sam Darnold's the perfect Alex Smith. You know what I mean? Like, I comp those guys all the way through, and Sam Darnold he's got some talent. He does make some stupid decisions, but I think he's grown up. He saw what it was like to run a good offense last year. I think he's going to be better, and he's got some freaking weapons. And Sam can throw. He's just an idiot sometimes, but he can throw. So I just don't see it. I don't see him being fantasy relevant this year. JJ, sorry.
All right, John, let's move on to Bo Nix. The Broncos draft Bo Nix. Sean Payton thinks this is going to be his boy. What do you think?
Like Bo Nix. I know you're not I don't think you were a giant Bo Nix fan, but I kind of like him. Only for this situation. Like if he was going to another place, I'm not sure I'd like him as much. But he just reminds me of a Peyton guy. So I think Sean Payton's going to really like him. I think he's going to utilize him. I don't know that he starts the season as the number one quarterback, but he's played a lot, got a good pedigree, spent some time in Auburn and then moved to Oregon. Really turned his career around in Oregon. He struggled his first, actually came out of the gate pretty good in Auburn, and then kind of shit the bed a little bit the second year. So I think he's actually going to be a good fit in Denver. I just don't know that he's going to be fantasy relevant this year.
So it's
at least not till.
Yeah, this is like the chicken versus the egg argument. Like, what came first? Was Drew Brees the reason why Sean Payton was so good in that offense, or was Drew Brees good because Sean Payton was such an innovative coordinator? We're gonna find out.
Or was it a mix? Right? Like, who knows?
Could be. But I mean, I want to see Payton and see what he can do if he can put him in similar situations as Drew Brees, right? And see if Bo Nix can be that short, get the ball out of your hands quick, West Coast offense type scheme, and see if it can work for him. But I don't like Bo Nix. I think he's slow. I think he's slow to like release. There's a lot of holes in his game to me, but he's very accurate. I'll give him that. And if you give him time, he can be good. But can you with that team? I'm not sure.
Yeah, in the right system. I don't know who he's throwing to. I think they're going to end up trading Cortland Sutton away before the year. So
Marvin Mims.
There's all these rumors about that. They got Mims. They've got what's his face, the Irish sounding dude coming back.
O'Shaughnessy.
Patrick. No, it was Patrick Johnson. I don't know why that's Irish sounding, but somebody like that. Anyway, not a lot. They're getting. If they do get rid of Cortland Sutton, who I think is a great receiver, I wish he would just get into a good system and let him show the talent that he has so that I can draft him higher than he's supposed to be drafted again this year, like I do every year. He's frustrating. But, if he's not there, I don't know who the hell Bo or whoever is playing quarterback for Denver is throwing to. So it's a terrible situation. I would stay away from him. Let's move on.
Speaking of terrible situations, of all the teams that Brock Bowers could have gone to, the frickin' Raiders got him. And just disappointed me to no end. I mean, I love Brock Bowers. He is my guy. He's baby Gronk. I loved watching him. He's that move tight end. He's always freaking running people over. He's open. He's pretty fast for a big guy, but he's on the Raiders.
Yeah. It's on the Raiders. Mid quarterbacks, not anything on the outside to take anything away. There's not great. Well, I mean, there's Devontae Adams, who's actually pretty good as a receiver. But other than him, not a lot of receivers. And then he's got another tight end there that's pretty damn good, Michael Mayer. So
exactly.
I just don't know why we did that.
Yeah. And some people are trying to compare it to like the Aaron Hernandez Gronkowski duo type thing that New England did several years ago. But that didn't end well, John. Not at all. So
no.
I'm excited about Brock Bowers and his ability, and things could change for the Raiders. Like right now, the quarterback situation is kind of dicey. You got Gardner Minshew and you got, Aiden O'Connell, and I just don't know if it's a good fit. But down the line,
I don't hate him as much if it's Minshew. Because I feel like Minshew does a really good job of checking down, getting it to his tight ends, getting it to. So I just don't know enough about Aiden O'Connell. He didn't show me anything last year to make me go. Yeah. I mean, Meyer wasn't exactly going off last year, and Aiden O'Connell was his quarterback. So I like him better if Minshew's there. So. And
in Dynasty, I really like Brock Bowers because things change in a hurry in the NFL, and he could end up, with a great quarterback. So. But do I like him? Like, people are taking him fourth overall in Dynasty. No. That's a little too rich for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we think about Brian Thomas Jr.? He went to the Jags. They lost some receivers, so they kind of need a guy to step in and fill that deep role. Brian Thomas can go deep. John, do you like his talent?
he can go deep, but this feels like a John Ross to me. I don't. Who, by the way, is back in the NFL. At least, made the team on. I can't remember who. But Philadelphia. I don't love it. I don't love it because I don't think he showed me enough at LSU. Like there was a lot of talent, and the ball needed to be spread around at LSU. He's fast, super fast guy. Like if he'd have gone to the Raiders, that would have made more sense to me because they love their fast, deep guys that go down the field. I just don't know if it makes sense in Jacksonville. I don't know that Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to take advantage of that speed. I just don't love it. I don't love it. I think he was overdrafted in this position.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. I don't love it. It's okay. I don't love it. Dynasty purposes, I don't love it if you're taking him in the first round and the second round.
I don't love it if you're taking him in the second round. I really don't. I just don't. Yeah.
All right. Another guy that I don't love, but really love the situation is Xavier Worthy going to the Chiefs. Like, I feel like his speed when he broke the record at the combine and all that stuff, to me, it matters a little bit. Sure, he's fast, but usually guys like that, they peter out in the NFL. They're just gadget players and stuff like that. But gosh, he's going to the Chiefs. This is exactly what they've been looking for, right? To spread the field since Tyreek Hill left. They tried it with Mecole Hardman, but Mecole Hardman found out that football's hard, man. Right? So
I mean, Xavier Worthy kind of reminds me a little bit of Tyreek coming out. Like he had speed and you didn't know that much more about him. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out Andy Reid, really good coach. I don't know if you guys have heard that or not. He's a good coach and hires a really good staff. And those guys work with those receivers. I think he landed it. Xavier Worthy went to the best situation Xavier Worthy could have gone in. I think he was a little overdrafted at that spot, but I like him there.
And I love where he's going.
He could be fantasy relevant this year.
Yeah. I love you could get him like as a flyer as your last pick. Yeah, yes, right?
Absolutely.
And are we forgetting that Rashee Rice is in like all sorts of legal trouble here? Like there's no guarantee this man won't get suspended for half the year.
And if he doesn't, he's going to be the one. Him and Kelsey will draw all the attention, and Xavier Worthy is just going to keep going down the field in the seam. So, thanks for coming.
What was missing in the Chiefs' offense last year? The big plays. The guy.
Big plays.
This is the guy. This is the guy.
Yeah.
So you got to love that, right? And I believe in Patrick Mahomes as much as look. He pissed me off last year because he was very un-Mahomes-like last year. But that's it. Yeah. It's because of the circumstances. Now you add that weapon. I'm in on Patrick Mahomes again, John. Call me stupid.
He was un-Mahomes-like and still won the damn Super Bowl. It's ridiculous. It's stupid.
All right, we're going to touch on this guy really quick because I don't see a role for him much this year. But Ricky Pearsall, highly touted. He's got some skills, but he goes to the Niners, and they have not traded Debo, and they have not traded Ayuk. And they don't run three receivers out there very often, John. They're kind of like a two wide receivers with a couple tight ends and Christian McCaffrey, and they kind of go to
I'm not even sure he's the third receiver in that. I'm not even sure he's the third receiver in that system because Juwan Jennings is actually a pretty good number 3. And Ricky Pearsall reminds me of a poor man's Juwan Jennings.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, they're really similar size and everything. So, yeah, I don't see much. Let's move on. Nothing to see here.
Yeah. I mean, long term, like if you want to take a flyer in Dynasty, go for it. Because if one of those receivers does go away on a trade, then it opens some room up for him to do something. But until then.
Yeah. And he does have some skill. Don't get me wrong. He's got some skill. He can catch the ball.
Yeah.
But he's not, I don't think he's all world.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to another wide receiver because there was a million of them taken in the first round. Keon Coleman, Buffalo, who I like, but man, he's going to be the guy there, right, John? Who else do they have?
I don't know. Like he automatically steps into a role. He's a big body, former basketball player. Like he's got skills. He can jump. He can play. He's an athlete. I actually think he is really underrated as a wide receiver. And I think he's going to be incredibly fantasy relevant this year. I think he's going to surprise people.
I agree because, like,
Because of the situation.
I mean, they have the tight end, right? Everyone loves the tight end this year in Buffalo. But at wide receiver, they lost Diggs. They lost Gabe Davis. They got nothing. I mean,
They got nothing else.
they have slot receivers. That's what they have. They have a bunch of slot receivers. They need a guy to go up and catch some touchdowns. And I like the situation for him. I mean, I think Josh Allen's going to pepper him, John.
I do too. I really do. I think people are going to overlook him. I like where you're going to be able to draft him this year.
All right. Speaking of liking where you're going to be able to draft people this year, this next guy is my favorite rookie to draft this year in Dynasty and in redrafts because you can get him at a bargain. And he's going to be the number one receiver for the Chargers. And that's your boy, Irishman, Lad McConkey.
Hey. Oh, Lad McConkey. Where you been, lad? Come over here to me, lad.
I love his name. I love his skill set. I love the way he plays. He's going to be in the slot. They're going to move him around. He's going to catch 100 balls. John.
Oh my God. It's Herbert's going to just have a field day with this guy. He's going to be the Puka Nacua of this year without the, even with a cool name. Like you got Puka Nacua. Now you got Lad McConkey. I mean, you got cool name wide receiver rookies who are going to come out and bust it. I think I agree with you. I actually think he's got a potential to be rookie of the year.
I agree.
That's how much I like this guy.
Let's not forget rookie year, okay, for Herbert. Who did he pepper all day long? Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen leaves. Mike Williams leaves. Lad McConkey is Keenan Allen reincarnated, my man. Like that's the way he plays. I love it.
He's a great possession receiver. He's fast. He can run routes better than most people who are pros, 2-3 year pros. He runs better routes. I really love that guy. And what a great situation to go to. I love him and his skill set and his situation. So
pick him up in late in your draft. In Dynasty, get him in the like mid to late first round. Boom. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. All right, let's talk about the first running back off the board in the first round of the draft. That's Jonathan Brooks. He goes to the Carolina Panthers. He's coming off a torn ACL, but all reports is he's going to be ready for training camp and good to go. John, I like the skill set, but does the knee injury scare you at all?
The knee injury scares me. There's still Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders there in the room, so the crowdedness of that room. Not that either of them are great. Miles Sanders is a pretty good running back when he's healthy. He doesn't stay healthy very often, but Chuba's not anything really that worries me. The torn ACL recovery so late in the season last year, like that was like November, I think, like going into bowl season, that he tore his ACL. So he's got the skill set. I don't know about the recovery, and I don't know. I mean, I guess everybody recovers from the ACL these days, so I guess it's fine. I just wonder about this year.
Like, I think he could start slow because look at Breece Hall last year coming off the torn ACL. First half of the year is pretty bad for him, his standards, and then he was the number one running back like the second half of the year. So
love me some Breece Hall this year.
What I do like about Jonathan Brooks. Oh, we're going to talk about Breece Hall. Don't you worry.
Oh, I know.
We're going to talk about. But Jonathan Brooks, okay, he's a 3-down back. That's what I love about him. He could be the grinder. He can catch balls. He's going to be your touchdown guy. So, and there's not really much to go around there in Carolina. Like who's a running back there, right? The stage is set for him to just walk in there and be the guy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, if he was healthy, I would think he's starting from day one, and I would say he would put up, really good numbers, Saquon Barkley rookie year kind of numbers if he was healthy. I just don't know if he's going to be that healthy.
But I sure as hell it ain't going to be Miles Sanders, John.
Okay. It ain't going to be Chuba Hubbard either. I got news for you.
Chuba Hubbard was by default their running back last year because Miles Sanders sucked that bad.
Yeah. I can't believe old Mother Hubbard made the team again. So
yeah, insurance, John, insurance. All right. Yeah. My second favorite receiver for the price in drafts is Adonai Mitchell for the Colts. This guy's a freaking beast, and from what I understand, he is obsessed, like Michael Jordan, like Like the guys that work so hard that you have to tell them, dude, chill a minute. This guy puts in the freaking work, John, and I really like his prospects. They really need that guy that can go downtown and catch some balls up in the air. What do you think?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I want to temper expectations because he's going to a team with Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. Like they've got some talented receivers there.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be one of the greats, though. I really do. Love this kid. I was surprised he didn't go earlier. Quite frankly, I thought that was a little late for him to go. So I really like Adonai. AD. Now he's got Anthony Richardson, who's a big unknown still throwing to him. So that is my one caution. It's a talented receiver core with a very unproven quarterback coming off of an injury. So,
well, I'm going to tease this because we're gonna talk about this in a future episode about guys that we feel are going to break out. But I'm going to just say it right now: that quarterback's going to break out in Indianapolis, my man.
Ooh, okay.
Oh my God! Anthony Richardson is going to be a beast with them weapons.
Wow.
Big time in on this guy. We're talking about the guy that set all the combine records, right?
You just called your shot.
I'm calling my shot. This is the year he breaks out, and within the next 2 or 3 years, he will be MVP of this league. I'm calling it now. You heard it here first.
Wow.
All right.
That's ballsy. We're doing ballsy episode 1. Episode 1.
That's how we do it here. That's how we roll. Ballgame and the Reaper. Ballgame and the Reaper.
Balls. He's ballsy. Ballgame and the Reaper. That's the other reason we put ballgame at first.
That's right. All right. We're running a little short on time, so let's get through these guys. Okay. How about Trey Benson? He goes 66 overall to the Cardinals. James Conner's getting kind of old.
Yeah, I like him.
Do you like his fantasy prospects this year, or is he a stash kind of guy?
I think he's a boomer bust guy who's going to have a couple of games where he's going to catch a bunch of balls and make everybody get real excited about him. I think he's probably this is going to be James Conner's year where he stays healthy because he's every other year healthy and hurt, and he was hurt a lot last year. So JC will play most of the year, and Trey will be spotted in and be the third down back, I think. That's how I kind of feel like that's going to go.
Totally agree. He's going to be the third down back until Connor goes down with injury. So,
yep.
Long-term, though, dynasty stash, I kind of like it.
I like him as a stash, yeah.
I'm going to let you go on this guy as your Bengal. Tell me what you know about Jermaine Burton. The Bengals draft him.
So I'm going to say this. I think this might have been the steal of the draft at the 80th pick. I think he is going to be the perfect third wide receiver and then slip into that position when T leaves next year at number 2. He comes from Alabama, big program. They ran a lot. Quarterback wasn't awesome there this year as far as getting him the ball, and there was just a ton of weapons there. I mean, quarterback was pretty good, but I just think he's super underrated. And while he's joining a little bit of a crowded room, I think he could end up being the third receiver there.
Okay. All right. This next guy, it kind of hurts because I was a big fan of Kyren Williams last year. He really helped me. Like, I came in second last year, but mainly because I had Puka and Kyren Williams. These guys were so impressive. But Blake Corum is my favorite running back coming out of this draft, and he ends up going to the Rams, which makes me scratch my head like, ooh, are we in a timeshare, John? Or is Corum just going to, like, wait his turn? Is Kyren Williams going to be still fantasy, like, a fantasy like dominant player like he was last year? What do you think?
I think I think it's interesting that they drafted Corum. Don't you? Like, they kind of drafted Kyren Williams part 2. Like, they now have 2 receivers with the same exact skill set. I like Kyren Williams a ton. So I think he holds on to that number 1 spot. I think Blank will be the backup. They might, use him in some third down situational stuff. I would stash him. I like him because Kyren Williams does get injured. Mm-hmm. So I would definitely draft and stash, but I wouldn't count on him having a giant year.
Yeah, I'm a little torn on this. I'm afraid to draft Kyren Williams now, but he is going at a discount because of that. So it's like, well, if he's the guy like he was last year, well, he scored, right? But if you take him and he gets replaced, like happens all the time on the Rams, right? A guy coming off a big year gets replaced and they go to Corum. I mean, like, damn, I don't know what to do. Yeah. However, I do want to draft Blake Corum in the second round of Dynasty because he's going to be the man at some point for sure. Really like him. Roman Williams, Pittsburgh wide receiver. What do you think?
Roman Wilson.
Sorry, what'd I say?
Roman Williams.
Oh, no, I meant Wilson. Sorry, guys.
I think this guy's going to a great situation. You got George Pickens and no one else, and then crickets. Roman Wilson got some skill, pretty good route runner, kind of fast. Like he's kind of a nice. I don't know. He's got some speed. I think he's going to a nice situation. So I like him. I don't want to spend too much time on the Steelers, but
there's a chance for him to step in and have a good role there because they lost Deontay Johnson.
Sure.
So
I think it could be fantasy relevant toward the end of the season. That's what I'm going to say.
We're running out of time, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to end the show today with the rookies that were drafted, and what we're going to do is we're going to come out with part 2 coming up very soon in the next couple days, where we'll do all the free agents and trades in the market, and we'll talk about that for part 2. Apologize, but we ran out of time, John. We got so much to say.
We talk. We like to talk. What are you going to do?
So this was a very successful first episode, John.
Absolutely.
Tremendous knowledge. I appreciate you coming on and doing this and bringing the ball game and the Reaper to the forefront. I love it. I love the name. I love the new energy. Did you have fun, John?
I had fun. I had a ball. Like, listen, man, just talking fantasy football with you. We've been doing this shit for years, and it's just nice to do it again. So good to be back. Hope you all enjoyed it. Make sure, like Chuck says, like us, subscribe, get us in there, and then we'll be back with free agents next episode.
Yeah, and that will be coming out in the next couple of days. It's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. I also want to say, hey, man, if you got something you want to say, ask a question, comment, put it in there. Tell us we suck. I don't care. Just make a comment, whatever you want to say. Give us ideas for topics on the show. You want to see some of the Fantasy Reaper. Some of you don't know the Fantasy Reaper, but it's a character that I've created. And some of you don't know that John can do Elmo quite well. So if you want to see some of that, let us know and we'll get it on the show.
When he says John can do Elmo, he means I can do an impersonation of Elmo. Actually, the wording might be careful creepy,
with my speech.
The lockers in the background. Yeah.
All right, John, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in 2 days, baby. Peace.
Hey.
Aloha.
Banana.
Crush your opponent with a smile. It's Fantasy Sports Island.